Welcome back into the workshop for a wee bit of a update. Nothing monumental whenever it is there, but just getting things out of the way here. Now, I had been mentioning about wanting to move ahead with the MFT top, and I wish I did, and probably a lot of other people would wish I did as well, but I decided to bite the bullet sort of thing and remake the cabinet which my drill press was standing on. Pleased that I did. Actually went really smoothly, and it also meant that I got one of the larger or heavier panels cut down to utilise to make the cabinet. It was the 25mm sheet, and if anyone moves around or has moved around the 25mm custom wood melamine, you know that it's quite chunky and heavy. So that's a good thing, just because of that, you know, getting rid of the sheet, which was always in the way. I made the cabinet up so it will take the braces, and that's why the base has a little extension on the left and right sides, so it will land the brace and locate in that little intersection there of the side and the base. And I've got to put a couple of little fillet pieces on either, spaced either side of the brace to allocate and locate the position of the brace so it can't move sideways, and perhaps induce some twisting action to the top itself, which after all is why the brace is there to begin with, because I hadn't appreciated that just a tiny bit of pressure on the extended work table actually would twist the metal base of the table itself. So that's taken care of. So nice and solid, as I said, 25mm. Just pop some bolts and dowel into the back panel, which was also 25mm, another piece that I had lying around, and that means I can now pop my vise and magnets, etc., on the back, which I find probably the most convenient place to put them. I used to have them actually underneath the cabinet, which always, well, kind of resembled that. You just throw stuff in it, and then they were always in the wrong place, on top of each other, etc. Simple little things that I didn't have in the previous iteration of the cabinet for this was the opening at the front, where you would normally be standing. And believe it or not, that was a bit of a nuisance, because you always had to go around the side. You go, well, it's not really that much of a nuisance. And you go, well, live with it for a while and realise that, yeah, it's a wee bit of a nuisance. So now that I've got that, I will probably throw a couple of runners in there for drawer runners, so that I can store stuff underneath it and get better access to it, because being so low, getting down and into a drawer or shelf is a little bit of a nuisance. So yay. One thing I did note, and this is the reason for this video, in fact, that when I cut that panel for the back there, yeah, I cut it a little bit undersized. Be that I measured, and I thought I'd got the measurement correct, and when I transferred to the tracksaw, darn it. So the point I'm making with this particular video is, once I get the tracksaw set up in this position, the piece that I want to cut will be on the right hand side of the saw. Now that means that whichever type of stop I'll have on here, which will run this way so that the item can butt up against it, I can measure from the stop or the gauge to the blade of the saw, like you do in every other situation. Well, like a cabinet saw or a bandsaw, you measure from the fence or the gauge, the stop blocks here, to the saw blade, so you have a known measurement as best you're able. Now tracksaw users would say, oh, but I can cut accurately to, like when I'm set the tracksaw rail down and measure it up, and I'm going, that's fine. But what I'm saying is that this gives you a more conventional method of using the tracksaw, whereas this, and kind of what I got on, it's my fault, but I measured from the left-hand side of the piece that I was going to cut down to the splinter guard, and because mine's about half a mil to a mil out, because the way I trimmed it back at the when I first did it, it's always a wee bit of a guesswork to where the saw cut is going to wind up. And that's what happened this time. Got it wrong, and I thought, it's not that much, it's just annoying. Other times I get it spot on and I'm thinking, how clever am I? However, this is the why, or this is the reason I wanted to make this approach, or that approach or use of the tracksaw the way it is and as accurate as possible, because once I've got the whole system up and running, making direct measurements from your stop or your guide to the saw blade in a conventional manner is going to be, I think, beneficial and reduce or hopefully eliminate those little indiscretions when you're trying to measure and when you get it wrong. I just think it's a nicer way of going. I'm saying that, not having actually tried it, but everything about it seems to be true, that if you can measure from your hard stop, your gauge, to your actual saw blade, the bit that's doing the cutting, you've got more chance of getting the size that you prefer. Also, it's a static measurement, so that I can cut one of them or 20 of them and it's going to be the same measurement. I don't have to rely on accessories like this, which I have, to achieve that. And you can fine tune these things to suit even the, even the imperfectly trimmed splinter guard or strip on the edge here. You can tune these to actually accommodate that. But there's nothing like having a nice setup like you, and that is the reason, but like you do on a cabinet saw. You've got your rip fence in place, you've got your blade, and you run your timbers past it. Well, we're doing a similar thing here, except we're not having to run the timbers past it, we're running the saw over it, so yay. Anyone that's had these track saw systems have come across this as well, and they have worked within their capability of this, meaning they achieve what the end result that they want. Woolly explanation, I know, but nothing wrong with this. I just think that other approach is going to prove beneficial. Well, I hope it proves beneficial. And if it doesn't, I'll make the video saying what an idiot I was to think that would ever be the case. But thinking about it, static rail or guard over that side, like effectively the rip fence, and then measuring to your saw blade, I think that is probably a better way of approaching these cuts. And I've got so much, this is why I haven't tidied up here. A lot of this actually is going to benefit from that, because I've got to make lots of drawers or drawer components, and there'll be more than 20 pieces I'm going to cut. So having a static, easily repeatable ripping, you could say, setup is going to be of great benefit. Anyway, so that is my opinion. Rightio, that's it. Quite a short one for me. I am doing a wee bit of a tidy up. I'm still waiting for that little component to arrive, the little threaded stud that I need to make my registration points. I can get the rails out and see if they work as good as I hope they do. Rightio, that's it. I'll leave you alone, and I will see you in the next video. Hopefully with the auxiliary table finished and starting to drill some holes in the components for the MFT style of top. Yeah. Rightio. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.